Well, welcome to another Easy Enduro edition. Since last time, I did finally give up on my worn out JX8 with no knobs. I've got a brand new, another IRC tire, VE33S, so that's a Dakota. Most of us consider up here, Pacific Northwest area, more of a summer tire, but it does have a deep lug amount or height, so it does dig down into mud and whatnot pretty well. But it's not quite as tacky as, say, the JX8 or I still have my old M59. I did put some Enduro Engineering rad braces on at the suggestion of a recommendation of a friend. So thank you for that. And I'm riding at the other area that is local to me that we call Blue Mountain, or more colloquial known as McNutt, which is kind of strange. It's got two names, and most people actually call it McNutt. I think it's based on an area, a road that we used to stage off of way back in the day. Now, McNutt is significantly more technical than the other riding area that's local to me, but it's actually closer to the major metropolitan area. Almost like a Moab rock face here, but there's lots of traction. For granite, it's actually not bad. Even when it's wet, it's not bad. The thing that makes it slippery is all the two-stroke oil on it from, oh, this is the wrong line. The two-stroke oil on it from people that dump their bikes on that thing. Anyway, definitely a more technical riding area. I know when I was getting into riding many years ago, I definitely shied away from this place, where at least 2 riding seasons, 2 summers, get my chops better. Now, back then, it was a little less accessible because pretty much the whole area is potentially forested. Oh, this is a shoot up line here. Recently, a couple of years ago, they did a major harvesting in the cut blocks around here. So they actually built, or probably rebuilt, a road into the area. And it bypassed a lot of the more difficult accesses. Difficult by the fact that they were quite limited how many there were, and also because there's so few, they tended to get pretty beat up and pretty technical based on that. But with the roads in, basically you can just ride a road into what used to be maybe more modest trails for this area, and there are a few. So I would say this area is probably not the best place to start riding off-road. It's just very unforgiving in terms of the terrain and the choice of trails you can have. But because it is the closest place to the city, a lot of people just ride here anyway. The other thing is that I'd say about 10 or 12 years ago, honestly, there's probably about 30 guys that were regular riders that you just see them all the time at the most. And honestly, probably more like half of that were hardcore. But yeah, 30 guys maybe that were regular riders, and the rest occasional. Now, yeah, I would say that number is at least triple as this sport has, and this is a good thing, grown in popularity because it's so awesome. Of course, why wouldn't it? And but because of its closeness to the city, it's obviously a preferred choice for a lot of people due to the travel distance. The other thing is because it's fairly low. Even in the winter, most of these trails rarely get covered by snow, so a lot of it's rideable. year round, and that's a problem. They never really get a rest, the trails, as opposed to some of the other higher elevation ones. And then even more people ride them, because, granted, you're new into it, and you get into it, and all you want to do is ride all the time. You get that, no problem. But the club has definitely had its work cut out for them, trying to maintain this place. This used to be a fun rock face here, but last time I was here, the bottom had been so chewed out. At the beginning of my ride, this one here, very still doable, but you know what? Beginning of my ride, riding by myself again, I am gonna chicken out. I've got some big other plans quite far, the far end of this riding area I want to get to today. So anyway, fortunately with the increase in popularity, there are a lot more people that are also into looking after the trails, and a lot of people are just bloody handy. They just, the stuff that some of these guys are making, like bridges, and how good they are, is just astounding. Where do I want to go? I want to go up here. No, I say in my mind, I'm always only thinking that I want to be further along, so I'm not even thinking about these lower trails. However, it's still an amazing place to ride, very technical, and for guys that are at a point where they can handle some of these technical things, they get better fast. They're always challenged. There's no real times just to sit down and cruise. You're always tackling something. I find it a very tiring place to ride too, because you're just physically always working. You're always you really want to make sure you have decently plush suspension, because otherwise you're going to feel like you're running a jackhammer all day. Lots of little... So a lot of people, though, the problem is if they come a little too early, they really don't have the techniques of being able to tackle some of these. I'm not talking the big obstacles. There are some big obstacles, big rock faces, almost like little massive step ups and whatnot, and almost trialsy type moves. The level of riding is so high, quite honestly. A lot of guys have, but you see some newer guys struggle, and maybe they're trying to keep up with their buddies who are better. But to me, I can see them almost entrenching in the bad habits, like just sitting down over some of the obstacles as opposed to, standing and really hitting them properly. That's a problem, because unless you can force yourself to break out of that, you're just entrenching those bad habits as you're learning. And we all have bad habits for sure. Unless you're Manny Beekler or somebody like that, you got bad habits. But I think at a really early stage, I don't think you really want to be entrenching them if you can help it. And it's hard here, because, like I said, it's always coming at you. Amazing training grounds, but anyway, it's not a rant, it's just an observation. I'm surprised, actually, there's a lot of water here. It rained a lot about over a week ago. But the other riding area that I was at, say 4 days ago, pretty dry. But here, they must have got more rain here, because, yeah, all right. some summers here it can be really dry, and I almost feel like you don't have to out and wash your bike off after a few rides. Here, we've been lucky enough. We've always had a little break in the rain and given us that little ability to keep the trails not too dry. Okay, rock after rock. Rock, please. Not too bad. Definitely gets you working though, as opposed to just a cruisy, flowy stuff. You're standing, you're working your upper lower body. The temperature's really quite nice today, but we're kind of at the end of our little heat wave. Maybe the last one for the year. Where do I want to go? You know what? I think I'm gonna head up. It's pretty dry right here. It's funny how the water just stays. Again, I want to start heading for this riding area in a more easterly direction to get out to that far side. And the reason is the trail way out there that looks fun. The club here, Blue Mountain Club, hold a really fun ride every year called the Route of Evil, and it showcases, you know, very two levels in here, from kind of a manageable B loop, which in most riding areas would be an A loop, but an A-ish loop, and then a much more challenging A loop. But even that loop kind of avoids some of the wild or hard lines that are available here, but it's just that it's just going to be too hard for a lot of guys. Too long, too slow, too many problems. So their A loop is hard, long, difficult, but not impossible. Okay, I could decide where I'm going. I don't even think I know what this trail is. What is this trail? Muzz. What do I want to do? Alright, well, I'll tell you what. That was the lower part. We're kind of, these power lines kind of divide the riding area. Lower trails being typically a little bit gentler. Upper trails, the further up you go, typically the more difficult they get. Anyway,